How you doing, legends? It's Origin Day. So in this special edition, we'll just do the one video today. Going to go through a little bit of everything. So my thoughts on this Blues versus Maroons game and why this is the most excited I've been for a New South Wales team since the 2021 days when we actually were winning some games, and that's for sure. So we'll get into that in a sec. We're going to go through some questions. We're going to go through a little bit of a buy, hold, sell with some interesting players that and some... It's kind of a situation here where I think we should be pondering what we're going to do with our trades, our last few trades that we might have, and trying to set yourself up towards a really good or a decent 17 as well. So are you looking to potentially bring in mid-rangers this week? Are you going to get a cash cow that might lose his spot in the next few weeks, like Fletcher Sharpe? Are you going to try and just build up to a gun? Are you trying to try and get one of these mid-range guys like a Samuel Efenu who, isn't going to be a top-tier guy most likely, but if you're buying him now, are you holding him for the entirety of the year? These types of questions in this video, and go a little bit through my planning and everything else around that. So to kick it off with the Origin team there, and I'm just really happy with the setup. So we have a game breaker in Latrell Mitchell, a big improvement on that. I just really like, obviously, that Lomax has had a game to settle in and get things going for him. We get Dylan Edwards first up, which I think will be a nice breath of fresh air, as much as I love Tedesco. He's playing incredible for the Roosters, and I'm sure Roosters fans are going to be plenty happy with that. We've seen Moses play really well at this level before, so that's been good. Robson was great last game. You've got Haas, you've got Martin, you've got Crichton, who are all gun. Cam Murray returns, such an important player in this side, obviously. And then you've got Spencer Leniu, who has a game under his belt as well. And Connor Watson is such a terrific utility for this team. They finally have someone that can cover some positions. Again, would have hoped that it was, Burton last game. It wasn't to be, but they've got it right this time. And I'm super excited, obviously, in the neutral venue, that the Blues can get it done. So, go the Blues. I am finally tipping him this week, so I wonder what that means. I am confident on this one. And anyone who knows me for a while, I just don't tip the Blues because, least likely that they're going to win. But in this week, I have. Okay, so let's ponder some thoughts. So, if we're looking at my team here, as I said last week, we're sitting with sort of 12 guys over 600k, and I do think that with the lack of team value, it was a really cool article from Jason Robson with Talking League. He was comparing his season last year compared to this year at the same time, and his team value was fairly similar, but the points, 1,000 points difference, and he's in the same ranking. So we're in a situation where we've had to use trades willy-nilly. We've had to use them as plenty of them, and it puts us in a tougher position to get ourselves set up for the end of the season. And if you did have a lot of trades left over, I know personally last year I was actually probably in a slightly worse position than I am this year, just under that 6 trades where I'm at now, and that does stop you from being able to get that 3 or 4 week play. Like, that's where Fletcher Sharpe this week is a very interesting pick. If you're sitting with, I think maybe you can get away with it in my trades, and I'm contemplating doing it, but anything from 4 under, I think it's really, really tough to use a trade on a guy that's going to be out of the team in 3 or so weeks. And we know how detrimental the red dot can be in our sides. And thankfully, not many people have had, that Tommy Talau that's not playing last year sitting in our teams there. These types of players that can really hamper you in certain weeks, especially in like around 20, next week with 18, when I've got a lot of Dolphins out personally and Campbell out as well. So these little injuries that pop up can be really detrimental, and those kind of red dots in round 2021 and the like, when you have, the Knights in round 21 having a bye, you might have, Fletcher Sharpe, who's going to be out that week, definitely. You might have a Brayley, who I might not have after this week, Kai Paul, Dylan Lucas. You might want KPP. You might want Kalen Ponga if he comes back early. These types of questions there. Will Price, who's a potential option this week. So you definitely don't want that red dot. And do you have enough trades to be able to trade that guy out? So in that scenario, there's not really many cash outs. There's potentially some cheaper guys, the Sipleys and these type of, 350k, 380k. Someone mentioned in the YouTube comments, Brent Naden. I'll definitely tell you not to do that. Pretty gross. Very, very gross there, that's for sure. Not that you're thinking about him in that sense, but Someone also mentioned Charlie Staines. So I just think outside backs for the Tigers aren't the way to go. And you can see that they still didn't manage to score too well, even with an intercept for Brent Naden in that game. But there's heaps of questions you have to ask yourself because of that reason of potential red dots. And if you want to go for one of these cheap guys, they're unlikely to score very well. There's a reason they are that cheap. So how helpful are they for you? Maybe a cash out in around 22 or 23. It's just so hard in NRL fantasy compared to that of Supercoach. With 21 players compared to 25, it's very, very difficult. So you need to think about these things and what you can actually set yourself up with. And then if you're looking to buy, okay, I'm not going a cash out, because if you can't go for a cash out or a cheaper guy, how are we going to get up to Nicho Hynes and these types of players in the next few weeks? Like that's the big question mark that makes it really, really tough for our sides for sure. So if you aren't going to get up to the guns, which mid-rangers are you happy to buy and hold, or just in general hold in your teams, right? What we do need to think about as well is with these cash cows, the cheapies, there might be a few that pop up. We haven't had an injury for a week or so, thank God. A bad one anyway to someone of complete relevance that, there's some interesting ones. Like if you look at Geordie Rapinoe, if he was to go down, you'd have a Chevy Stewart that would come in, most likely at this stage, played really well in the under-19, so you keep an eye on him. Mamzellis, these types of guys that could come up and they could work out, but I wouldn't force it now in hope. I would wait a little bit. So hopefully you can wait a little bit till sort of round 19-20 when things might pop up. You might be able to make those certain trades and then be able to get those guns in as well. But obviously, as I said, next week I'm looking to get Nicho Hynes, so my potential trades heading into this week need to reflect having a little bit of cash in the bank or leaving myself with a couple of players that I'd like to upgrade to get to Nicho Hynes when he does lose a bit of cash and gets under 900k next week. All things you need to think about. And the Sharkies are a team right now where they have a really good run coming up. So I will be talking about a few interesting players there for sure coming up in the rest of this little buy, hold, sell. So, yeah, lots to think about. Cash downs that are a bit yucky and might hurt you down the track just to get that gun. Is it worth it? The point disparity. Are you buying a Fainu this week? Are you buying one of these mid-range guys, the Sorensens, these types of players that can do a job for you, but aren't going to get you those top-tier scores? Are you able to stomach holding them for the rest of the year if you do trade them in, right? Am I going to be fine to be holding a Max King, a Sean Bloor, these types of guys for the rest of the year, given they've got a spot in this side? Like, how many players in my side right now am I going to have to trade out because they'll lose their spot over the next bunch of weeks? So let's go through that now. From our interchange there, we got Brayley, who is he's going to play too much bench time, so I think he has to be a sell. Cotter, you can easily hold for the season, even with their buyers. Galvin will hold for the season. Fuller's going to have to go because Hammer has this spot unless there's an injury, so 2 there. Grant we're holding. Campbell we can hold. Garrick we can as well. For Feeder we can. So that's good. It's only 2 so far. Marshall King I think we can easily hold for the season. Yeah, he's not going to be the best hooker in the game, but he's going to be solid enough. And I've got Grant who's up there in that level. But crazy enough, Jeremy Marshall King is more expensive than Harry Grant. So he's fine. Fainu, with the way that he's improving, I think that we can hold him for the season if he keeps his spot, which I think he will. The mid-edge duels can be pretty helpful as well. King, I think that because he's got the spot, he's easily can be held. Same with Plath at a very similar price. Piakura, he has that spot, so he could be held as well. We'll have him as a maybe, and we'll come back to it later. Bloor, again, points-wise for both of those guys, Piakura and Bloor, aren't incredible, but Bloor has that spot, so that's good. There's 2. Hughes will keep his spot. Weeks will have to be traded out. That's 3, unless he goes to fullback. I think it'll be a pretty good fullback at that. And then you've got Iro. I think he's going to be worth holding for sure. Aiken, same deal. Karaz, same deal. Drinkwater, same. Wishart will need to be traded out. So that's 4 players right now that I think need to be moved on. And for me personally this week, if I leave things as is, I'd have Brayley as a player. That's sweet. Fuller not to play. I just need I need 2 of the 3 there in Fuller, Grant, and Cotter to play. So, yeah, what are the chances of that? Not sure at this point, but if I were to make some trades there, it's likely to be Brayley and Fuller this week. So that will be 2 of those 4 removed. Okay, so do this in your side as well. Otherwise, you're listening to this video or this podcast. Jump in and check those types of players in your team. Which one of these players are you happy to hold longer term as well, right? So you get into your little spreadsheet that you got, wherever that is. All right, so I have the 1 extra hooker. So if I was to remove Brayley, that's sweet. I am 1 short on the amount of mids that I wanted there, up to 5. And who I get in that scenario, I do need to have someone for the round 19 bye. Currently have Plath and I have Fainu who are going to play in that one. So that's something that needs to be on my mind, whether that's one of these cheaper mids that can get me through that one. And then, they're there if I need someone in, around 20 or round 23 or whatever it is when Cotter's out with the bye. If it's the end of the season there with Fainu who has a bye, like all those types of things. So that 5th guy is just going to be helpful in that scenario, whether we wait and, look at a Kolomatangi next week or something like that. But again, we're looking at Hines. So me being a little bit short in round 19 there. In the halves position, I'm 1 down. And in the mid position, I'm 1 down. So that's something to look at. Hines is obviously going to cover around 19. And then I just need probably someone cheaper in the mids to help cover in that position as well. So that's that. If I was to be trading Fuller, I'd likely need 1 other wing fullback. And Teddy's obviously clearly on my list, but he doesn't play round 19. So if I'm trading at Fuller, I would then be 1 short for 19, unless I got someone that covered that week, obviously, there. So that's something to note as well. And you need to look at this in your side, obviously covering the next few weeks, around 18, round 19 there, and round 20 are 3 really important ones for you in that one there. And just seeing how many of these mid-ranges can you buy in the next few weeks? And then how many guns are you looking to potentially grab? And which guns are they? Right? So I'm looking at my mids, and I do have Cotter, who's a keeper. I do think Plath and King are pretty solid in that one as well. I probably want 1 more gun. So whether that's going to be Payne Haas, whether that's going to be Isaiah Yeo, someone like that, Carrigan. Hopgood sounds like he's in a bit of strife. Kolomatangi, Atapane, Adam Fanua Blake. These types of guys, I'd want 1 of them, I think. Hooker, I'm fine. Edge, I do have Fafita at this point, so that's good. I could potentially have 1 other gun, would be nice. For the half position, I'd get Hughes and I'd get Hines, so that'd be cool in that one there. Edge, I've got Aitken, I've got Garrick, so I'm sweet on that front. Arrow's in there, solid as well. And then the wing fullback, I'm sitting there with Karaz, I'm sitting there with Drinkwater, and I had Fuller there doing good things, but if he can go to another gun, that would be sweet. So really it's the mids, edge, and then a little bit of wing fullback that I'm probably a little bit short on here as, guns. So they're probably the 3 positions that I want to improve. Obviously, once I get Hines, the half will be better as well. So I think 1 more gun in the mids, edge, if we can get someone serviceable in that decent range, like Katoa's slightly down on where he was at 727, so that's cool. He could be someone that we eventually look to target. If I wanted another center, then Aiken could go up to cover the edge position as well. And then that wing fullback, just getting 1 more gun. Obviously, I have Campbell as well, so maybe he can be counted in the gun wing fullbacks as well. So yeah, a bunch of things to think about with your side and where you want to go. And it's hard to tell exactly because so many people are still playing, Origin, and they're going to be missing round 19. So it's hard to even go up and select any of these guys. It's obviously it's going to be hard to get a full 13 on the park in round 19 as well if you're lacking trades, if you're not in the best position for that week. So keep it in mind. I do think that 12 will be a pretty good number for round 19, and I probably won't, looking at my side now, I won't jeopardize the rest of the season just for that round 19. If there's nothing clear that comes up, if I can't get to the gun I want, I might just have to cop a cheaper guy that'll be my round 20, round 21 type of player there for sure. So you're looking here at the players that are the who's hot, who's not list, and we've got SJ, Farlongo, Hopgood, and Armstrong, the big sells, and that's completely fair. Atkinson, the 5th biggest sell. On the buy side, it's really Fletcher Sharpe. Is the only one people are buying at 2.13%. Again, just keep an eye out on that. He could only play a few weeks, and that could be frustrating if you do decide to buy him there. Jerome Hughes, a terrific buy. Hammer, people are buying a little bit early, it feels like. Obviously, he's going to miss next week and then round 19, so keep that in mind, guys. Fainu, Howarth, we'll speak about as well. But yeah, very low amount of bring-ins for the rest of that there. One guy I wanted to target and focus on in this video, Ronnie Mulitalo. So he had a cracking start to the season. He got all the way up to 652 from a 520 start. So if you look at that 520 start, that is something that you do see from him on a regular basis, because he does seem to average anywhere between that sort of 36 to 39 type of range. And he's actually priced at 33 now with a 41 average for the season. And that is because he started so hot. That was with Trindle in the team. And that was when they obviously started pretty well also. So 42 to 6 in that one, 25 to 6. They lost 32 to 6 to the Tigers, hilariously enough. 36-22 over the Raiders. They beat the Bunnies 34-22. And you look at their run. Doggies this week will be the harder one, but Titans, Tigers into the bye. Cowboys, Rabbitohs, Titans, Newcastle, Dragons, Warriors, and Manly. And that's why Hines is just very, very hard to get away from with the run that they are going to have. So Ronnie comes into that as well. Same with Briton Nikora, but Ronnie's very, very cheap at $4.57. And when we're looking at cheaper guys that actually play for the rest of the season, he misses one game, right? And he's not someone that I would expect that they would rest as well. Like, they can't rest the whole team. So I think guys like wingers like Ronnie are probably going to end up, not playing Origin. They're probably going to end up playing most of the game. So he could be a cheeky one that, priced at 33, can maybe get closer to that 41 average that he got at the beginning. He was averaging 50 odd at the beginning of the year. But you see here, it's been a bit up and down. He's got 49 into a lower score, 48 into a lower score, 44 into a lower score. So nothing crazy. But they had obviously played a really, really easier start to the season when he did really well. And then it got harder with Storm, Roosters, Panthers. They beat the Eels, that one, round 13. Eels beat them in that one. He got 48. Broncos into Dolphins. So all top 8 teams, except for Eels, in that stretch from round 10 all the way through to round 15. And that gets easier again. So all except for Canterbury and Cowboys, basically all bottom 8 teams. So he's someone that could definitely go on a run, and playing each of those games can kind of just, you plug and play most weeks. And if there's a week there you don't have to play him, then that's fine. You can leave him on the pine. So he's someone I'm heavily considering this week, and someone that's 130k more expensive than Sharpe, but he's going to be there each and every game, and you don't have to trade him out. So that's my thoughts about Ronnie, and just have a little think outside the box with these types of players for your side, because Sharpe, obviously, he's had 2 cracking games, 50 and a 55 for Fletcher. Doing great things. Good tackle break numbers, good run meters, good kick defusals, making tackles as well, just like Fuller does. And then, the try and the line breaks in both of those. So great scores. He's got a negative break even. Likely to just get the next few games. Like, I was looking at Ponga and his injury. So they reckon it's normally a 12-week injury, 12, 13 weeks kind of thing. And 12 weeks for Ponga would actually be around 19 or around 20 return. Again, they could wait until after their bye, and in that case, you'd get the perfect 4 games from Fletcher, and then you could trade him in that bye before the Penrith game. That's the ideal with Fletcher if you're holding on to him, or if you're looking to buy. There's obviously a lot of people still looking to purchase him, and he's definitely on my radar, and I'm just trying to work out whether I do, if I am getting a wing fullback, a cheaper one at that, do I go Ronnie, who's going to play every game, or do I go Sharpe, who's a good chance of getting the next 3 games, maybe the 4th one against the Broncos, and then we're going to have to sell him from that point, because he'll be at a decent price to sell. And then he also, he's going to miss that game, the next one there, and then he might miss all of them after that. So, keep an eye on those guys. We spoke about Fainu there, and I think if you're happy enough with, this, obviously the scores he's got in the last 4 weeks, if you think he's going to get anywhere near that, and when I say anywhere near that, like a 45 average, I think would be worth bringing in, because you get 6 points of value, you get mid-edge duel, you get all the games up until round 26. So if that's enough for you, he's obviously owned by a lot of people, but if you think that's enough for you, I think then you should go for it, for sure. Like, he's going to help round 19 as well. An easy one to do that. Jack Howarth, he's one of those cheapies that you could look at. Plays in the edge only, though, which is a little bit frustrating, but 249k. Picked up a really, really, a really good couple of scores there in the last couple of weeks, like 22 in 29 minutes off the bench, but then 45 playing wing last week there as well. So that was really good. He had 8 tackle breaks. He had pretty low tackle decent tackle numbers out where he was in the centers. 15 and 2 misses, 1 line break. So did great things and got 45. The thing is, Meany's got a little bit of an injury. Is this just probably a 2-week play? Or does even Remus Smith come in and play this week? He's on the extended bench. So it's a bit of a plunge to be going at Jack Howarth this week, especially when they don't yeah, they play the 4th game of the week as well. So up to you on that one, but definitely a risk. Chanel Harris-Tavita. So he's obviously likely to be on the bench for this team when he loses his spot. But we just see here he got 17 in 70 minutes against the Cows, 46 in the 80 there. And we know that he can score pretty low at 5'8", so 20s and 30s, which when he's priced at 19, it's not super ideal. For Chanel there, 20 odd break even. He's not really going to make a lot of cash. Will he do a job for you? Yeah, potentially for the next few weeks. But if Johnson's out for 4 weeks, it's probably only 2 or 3 games for Chanel. Just doesn't seem like a great pickup for me. Will Price was saying there he averages a tick under 40 there in New South Wales Cup, has the half and the wing fullback dual. So he's someone that you, at 400k is a little bit annoying, but you could definitely take a punt on it. And if he was to play well, then he could easily keep the spot. You could also wait a week and then decide next week, right? He's not going to go up too much in cash. He's got a decent break even. See how he plays. If he plays great, then he's likely to keep the spot. And then he could be an option for the rest of the season as well, just missing that round 21. So he's finally got his opportunity. Let's hope that he takes it for Knights fans' sake and for anyone who decides to grab Will Price. Another mid-range type of player to look at is Briton Nikora. He obviously had a cracking game in round 15 there before the bye, 73, and he got 55 the game before. So he had a little bit of a slow run that 3 weeks before with just all mid-30s, and thankfully for owners of him, he repaid the faith and did really well. So he's obviously at a bit of a discount there, priced at 44. We know what he can do. He's going to go on runs up and down. You look at last season, and he did pretty well for the majority of the season, to be fair. Like, he had Nico with him for the majority of the year, and you can see there he had the odd 40 and 30, which he did the back end of the year, but for the most part, he was in the 40s, 50s, 60s. So if he can get back to that, he averaged 52.5 for the season. He could definitely get up to about a 700k price, I think, and is definitely a guy that you could get as a cut price keeper type of level. And these are the players you might need to look at for your teams in the upcoming weeks as guys that are going to do a job that are a bit cheaper than the top dogs in the league. Kaipi Paul, he's an interesting one, obviously at 626, a bit frustrating where he's at the moment, given he's coming off an injury. He's missed a couple of games. One was one was before that. But coming off the bench this week, I do think that if you're an owner of him, I think you do hold, given he has averaged 48 in his time this year. And that includes 2 games for 40 minutes off the interchange where he got 30 odd. So we do see that when he does get some time off the interchange, it has been 40 minutes. One of them, I think he came on a little bit earlier than he might have hoped, we might have hoped, or the coach was planning to do, I should say. But he still was able to do all right in that time. And he still hasn't scored a try this year and has 2 try assists, which is just ridiculous. He has 1 line break all year, 2 line break assists, and 1 try assist, no tries. And he's still averaging 48. So he definitely has that opportunity to go out and dominate for sure. It's just, can he do it off the bench, and can he get back into that starting spot is probably the big question mark here. If you're looking at the top dogs in all the positions, so Damien Cook has a bye this week, obviously, but he's someone to look at come next week. You've got, do you want to wait and buy Harry Grant at a little bit cheaper? Jacob Little's an interesting one this week. Api Coruscant, he's fairly cheap, and he's an interesting one this week as well. So that's all really solid as well. Guys that you could potentially purchase. So I wouldn't be going anything lower than that right now. And obviously Brayley's at a 37 average with games off the bench. So there's a few things you can do. You can wait for Damien Cook at the more premium price now. Reed Marnie's at a fairly premium price. You can wait and buy Harry Grant after Origin. You could buy Little or Coruscant now at the cheaper prices. That's kind of the hooking position right now if you're looking at guns. For the mids, as I said, just waiting on Hask, Yo, all the guys that I mentioned. Connor Watson you could buy as well, obviously, if he plays lower minutes tonight off the bench. Tarpane, you could hold Cotter, you could buy Stefano. They're all guys to look at. Tohu Harris, obviously, back to some decent form, but minutes are still pretty low. You could wait for Keon for next week as well. And McInnes is an interesting one, for this week as well. So his minutes have obviously dropped down a little bit in recent history, and he's coming off Origin as well the last 2 weeks, 47 and a 29. So the 47 is nothing bad at all, especially when he's priced at 49. What you're looking there is really, really good scores before that where he got some big minutes, which is great. So definitely have a look at McInnes. I don't have him as a terrible buy at all at 683k. And he's someone that personally for my team, I think I could look at him. Given that I need a mid and him at 683k, dying here, can do a really good job for you. you get someone that has provided keeper level numbers across the season for the most part. He got to 726 for the year, and he's just dropped down about 40k in that last couple of weeks and still has a high break even. So maybe for me, he is a hold, like a wait for 1 week, and then I could look to buy him at like 670, 660, 650. That could be an easier, kind of selection there potentially as well. So something to think about with that mids. With the edges, Aiken's still the second best edge there. You could wait for Crichton, Eli Katoa you could grab now. Olkawatu could be a fun one as well. But all of these guys are Origin related. Whitehead would be cool, but he's missing round 19. Same with Preston, same with Barnett. So all those types of guys you got to look at there. It's not a crazy good position. It seems to be that way every year. There's a few guys that are good, and then it's a bit low from there. For the halves, you got Nico and Cleary. Cleary's obviously averaging 54 for the season, which is wild. But yeah, two guys you can look at. Jerome Hughes, I'd be holding all year, I think is the way I'm going to play this one. We got Weeks, you got Wishart, all these guys that are in there that could be sold. Galvin's averaging 51, so there's no way you'd be selling him. Brown's averaging 51, I'd be doing the same. Plath can cover mid, and obviously half there. Moses is averaging 49. So there's a lot of guys in the half position that you could target that should be able to get a decent score on a weekly basis for you. In the centres, again, it's Aiken. Lomax has been great. Manu really solid, and Gagai. They're the top four at the moment that are 50 plus. If you're owning Karaz or you want to buy him, he's still really solid. Garrick's going to be a fair bit cheaper, and around after he plays 18, round 19 will be really cheap if you haven't got him yet. Will Penisini's a fun one this week at 42.4, the average for him as well. So 598k. He did start the year actually slightly cheaper than this at 582. But we know how well he scores with Mitchell Moses in the side. So I suppose that's all we've got to look at here. If you type that in there, Mitchell Moses, so with him, he has played round 1, 2, 3, 13, 14, and 15. So, well, for his career, let's have a look at that. With Moses there is a 42.6 average, as we know, which is where he's priced at. So you're getting keeper level numbers with him in the side, and that's over his career. 51.2 this year with Moses in the side. And yeah, he absolutely went gangbusters last week with a 76 without a try. 1 try assist, 2 line break assists. And they do have a pretty solid run here. Newcastle into Rabbitohs into Titans into their bye in round 20. So if you do want someone that's going to help cover in the centres for you, could do a really good job. I could obviously move one of my players down, I believe. No, I can't. Garrick, Karaz. No, I couldn't move someone down for round 19 personally, but you might be able to muck around with that, and you might need a centre for round 19, and Will Penisini would do a cracking job for your side, that's for sure, as a keeper out there for sure. So that's him in the centres. He's kind of like the cheaper one. You got Iro I'd be holding on to. Karapani, how good's he going? He's on the bench this week, though. And then the wing fullbacks, the top tier guys, obviously Campbell up to a 54 average, so go me. I have a keeper. I can't believe I didn't count him before off the bench. Weeks will need to remove, as is Wishart. Teddy's obviously one of the top guys at 51. It's his average. Latrell Mitchell at 58.7. The way he's been playing, he's someone that's on my target list for sure, post-Origin. So maybe for me, with the situation I'm in, I can't get Teddy then over this next few weeks. Against Tigers, going to be a tough watch. But who's going to be a better wing fullback for the rest of the season? Teddy or Latrell? With Latrell and his goal kicking and big kicking in general play role, I think it is Latrell. And he's obviously, his average is saying that as well. So that's probably where I need to go personally. Fletcher Sharpe at 52.5, crazy. And then Drinky at 50.5, Karaz down there as well. Keeney up to 48 after his slow start. So yeah, there's a bunch of keepers there. Just kind of have a target of which ones you want and how you're going to get to them. That's going to be the question. And yeah, like my big worry with all of our sides is the fact that we've got a lot of mid-rangers, and there's not a lot of guys in the cheaper range that we can get down to that are, easy guys to move to and be confident with scores that they're going to get. So yeah, there's lots of questions we need to answer right now. And we don't have a lot of answers, right? Because there's not a lot of those guys that are great. And how do you maneuver up to these top guns without going down to a cheapie? So personally, myself this week, I might have to take that chance on Fletcher Sharpe just because of the price point, and we know that he can come out and score well, and they've got a pretty nice clash this week themselves. The Knights up against the Eels, so that's probably where I have to make my first little cash down so I can build up some cash to Hines next week, or to, make that upgrade in one of those positions. Because if I'm looking to get one of Haas or Yo, then a Latrell and Nico Hines, I'm going to have to go down at some point. So maybe with the trades that I'm at, Fletcher Sharpe is the way to go, just to get some cash making, a little bit extra cash making potential, cash down a little bit, and have that cash in the bank to make that move next week. So thank you for allowing me to talk through my potential moves. It actually really helps me, and hopefully helps you guys as well think about strategy with your teams. And I'll just answer a few of those questions now before we run away. And good luck to the Blues tonight. I hope it's a fun game. This fella said, glad I binned Fuller now. I thought Hammer wasn't going to be back. Yeah, I thought so too. He still might play. For sure. So if he was to play, I'd probably just make the one trade this week. Like I'd rather take Fuller's score for sure. Forced to hold SJ with one trade left. The Wires need more than a miracle this round. Sad. Curran to Nikora. Okay, well in that sense, again, you're looking at comparing two guys. So Curran had a pretty rough one last week. Minutes are a bit down. He doesn't play round 19. So if you need a round 19 guy, you have a decent amount of trades, then it could work for sure. But I do expect them to average not too dissimilar for the year. So it's a bit of a flip coin on that one, but up to you. Please back up Robson and Cotter. Yep, that's for sure. Salmon and Twile to Sharp and Hines. Feels wrong doing Hines this early. Nah, do it. Yeah, Hines, you can go him this week as well. He's obviously going to be helpful as a captain. Stefano, Tapane, or AFB for mid. Stefano plays round 19, so if you need that, awesome. If you don't, then right now, probably Taps, or Steph right now. Just in this period of time. I think AFB in round 20 is going to be really cool. Sion Karaz can do. He's going to be my vice. He'll be solid enough. Blake Brayley, a good option. He's fine. He is fine. What do I do with Clockstad? Hold. He's been, as I said, he's like one of the best options. If Warriors can improve a bit, which I think they will this week, and that's sweet. Max King to Tarpany seems like a luxury trade, but Tarpany's ceiling to chase ranks seem necessary. 17 green dots and 6 left. Can do. A lot of these are just like, can do. On price, Gamble is due back around 22. Sure. I don't know if he'll get picked though. So needs to play well to keep it, basically, is where he's at. William Price. Queenslander, thank you very much for your love always. SJ hold, sell. Be nice, Pilot, in the comments, by the way. Because you're upset with him, I understand. But definitely a hold. I'm forced to get Brent Naden. This is his one. It's my night, round 19, cash out. Don't rate it. Sorry, Pilot. Love ya, but sorry. What's he got? 16 green dots if Cotter and Grant back up. KVP to Yo C in one trade. Does ruin the Hines Cleary fund a bit, but best captain this week for me is Aiken. Yeah, pretty solid. He's a good one to get now. He'll play most games, which would be cool. Yeah, sad for Twiley. Sell Twiley, guys, in that one. Brayley, sell. I'll be looking to sell this week. Thoughts on Nas or JWH as cheap mid options? Yes, there's a couple I didn't actually mention in this video, so let's quickly go through it now. Nelson, he's a 342k, got some bigger minutes this week, 35. He actually started in lock, so into the 30s for him. I do expect him to average somewhere in that 30 to 32 range with these types of minutes for the next bunch of, next month or so. He does miss around 19 though, so mid-edge duel can be helpful there. Surely he has a breakout game or two. This season, he had a bunch last year. They played him some time in the interchange, in the second row and all that kind of thing, which he hasn't had this year. So he's still got a 0.98 ppm for his career. What is it this year? 0.79. So it's really dropped down. If he gets 35 minutes, again, I still expect him to get in the 30s. He's played a bunch of games in a row now, which is good, and his minutes still haven't increased. So different role for Nelson. He's obviously something's going on with him, which hasn't helped him, that's for sure. Warrior Hargraves a 354. So he's obviously one of those guys that did score well last week. Got a 52 in 49 minutes. He'll have lower minute games like he did in 13 and in 15. And then he'll have sort of those 40-minute games where you can see there he got heaps of 40-minute games in a row. 19, 38, 20, and 29. So he can definitely do a job for you on random weeks. He misses 19. He misses 23 as well. 20, 21, 22, 23. So probably Nelson in that scenario, just because of the one extra game that he'll play. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Thoughts on Charlie Staines? Yeah, not ideal. Not ideal either, mates. Both pretty average. Although let's have a look at Naden just for you, hey? Let's have a look at the Naden dog just for you. 280k. Oh, that's gross. That's gross. You got 50 first game last year. Got 26 on the weekend with that little intercept too. 24-26. His high score of 35 for the year, so pretty gross. You don't really want to be playing him. He's dual position though, which helps, obviously. Charlie Staines at 331. He'd also lose his spot. His spot's not safe. Like, you got Stafford Toa and these guys to return. Charlie Staines playing most weeks, staining it up with 20s basically, so not ideal. Not ideal. Jack Goz. Someone asked me about Jack Goz. So Ricky's only out for the next 2 weeks. So what that does mean is though, is he get 3 weeks from Jack Goz in a row, because then he'll play. Oh, they'll play off the bench, won't he, in round 19 when Ricky's back? Yeah. So 2 weeks of starting, and then he'll move to obviously the bench from there. But he has some games in the 30s and 40 mark with tries for the Cows. It's not super ideal for him. Like, he can have some sort of decent points. He's at 230. Is he going to be playing off the bench likely for the rest of the season? I think so. You know, they had their bye in round 13. He didn't play. He's been playing majority of the other games outside of that. So he's not the worst cash out either, given he misses one more game for the rest of the season if he keeps his spot in this side. And I think there's a decent chance that he does, to be fair. They've got him as edge cover, which they don't have edge cover this week, so he's going to be helpful for that. If they lose, Piakura or anything like that, then he'll come in and start. He obviously started with the Cowboys, and he's played every game since off the bench. So some of them have been bad: 3 in 28 minutes, 9 in 31 minutes. But he's not the worst in the world for sure. Not bad as a cash out at 230k. You could also wait till next week or something. He's fine. What else we got? Goat. Thanks. 740 with 12 players, probably playing with 15 this week with Carrigan. Yeah. All right. I think that's it. That's all the questions up until the team list analysis. So thanks for that, guys. Hope you enjoyed the footy tonight. Hope you enjoyed this video. It was a lot of kind of just spitballing, going through some different things. What else did I have in here? Obviously had my little spreadsheet, which I've got Cotter as a maybe for this week. And then Grant's been named, but he can be a maybe as well. And yeah, I think that's it for my side. Round 18, I've got 5 out at this point. So that's where Fuller likely to be a sell. I think I want to hold Plathake and JMK and Campbell. So Fuller, that's where he's either going this week or he'll have to go next week. And that wing fullback, I'll have to have a look at for round 19. But yeah, big thanks to you guys. That's where Fletcher Sharpe or Ronnie helps. But yeah, thanks so much, legends, for being here. As always, good luck tonight. Have fun. And we'll see you in the next one.